That's a tricky one because I think, especially right now, musically and kind of in the world at large, artists have to wear a lot of hats. I would define myself as a DJ, a songwriter, a producer, a singer, a poet. Yeah, we'll cap it there today. All right. I kind of came into electronic music through more like alternative rock. So I was listening to a lot of like Garbage and Nine Inch Nails growing up. And that kind of evolved into more dance rock in the early 2000s. And that's when I started DJing, and it was more open format and in little bars where kids would go crazy. And like, it was real dance parties. It was really fun. And so I kind of entered like through a side door, I guess, especially in America, because dance music at that moment in America was kind of cheesy, or it was more like real raves, and that wasn't where I had access to, especially growing up in New York, where it was much more, the scene was in bars and clubs. But I do remember the first time somebody taught me how to beat match. And I beat matched, the first two songs were Blue Monday, which is very appropriate and timeless, of course, and Can't Get You Out of My Head from Kylie Minogue, because they're essentially the same song. And I remember like feeling it, like the click in for the first time, and feeling like alchemy. It felt like magic. Like there's something new from these two things. It was really special. I grew up playing instruments and had always been really passionate about music, and I was also incredibly socially anxious. And so, especially as like a young person, like I was 17, 18, going to bars and clubs, and I knew a lot of the people who were owning the bars or booking the DJs, and so I felt like my taste was superior to most of what I was hearing, and I wanted something to do. I wanted a way to keep my hands busy and not to have to talk to people. So those two combined talents of social awkwardness and being a music connoisseur led me to ask if I could DJ, and it worked well. I mean, I feel like it's an honor to be called a techno artist, but that's not really what I do, as you might have kind of caught on. Especially now, I feel like I've been returning to my roots. And I mean, I've always been like, my strength has always been songwriting, which in techno is quite limited. You know, you can say like a cool line repeatedly, but it feels like right now I feel like I'm evolving more into kind of an industrial pop. And of course, because my main kind of mode of communication is within a DJ set, it's always going to be DJable. Like, it's always going to be dance music. Like, I make it for the body, you know, it has to be felt in the body, but at the same time, it's like, I don't want to be limited by a four-to-the-floor kick drum. I want to be able to kind of break a mold, and also within a set, within a performance, to be able to kind of change a story, you know, to have more of a narrative than just this for 3 hours. I hope you're seeing this cat and I don't just look crazy. My cat. As I mentioned, I think that like the bands that I loved growing up, like Garbage and Nine Inch Nails, have always been like, that in a lot of ways I think taught me how to be a human. Like at times in my life when I felt like I just couldn't relate to anything, like that was always the anchor. And so, of course, that's a big influence, you know, this like sounds that don't conform to kind of traditional like musical in the box ideas. Like I think on this last record we used like dogs barking, gunshots, chainsaws, thunderstorms, bees. Like, but I guess I've always admired kind of holistic acts. Like I love Patti Smith, she's always been a hero. I love Chrissy Hynde. Like I really, my heroes have always been like basically women in rock. And so it's when people are always ask like what is it like to be a female DJ? I'm like, I don't know. I have no reference point, but I do know that my heroes have been warrior women of rock and roll, and like I want to follow in those footsteps. I don't know if that answered your question. I can try. So I have a finished album, and it's hopefully going to be released in early 2020. And it's definitely a kind of continuation of a pivot from kind of more pure dance music to a live project, and which means I've spending a lot of time shouting in my living room and practicing the songs, and we're going into rehearsals next month, and we have a drummer, and it's me singing and Mild playing synths and some drum machines, and it's something that the music itself has been done for a while, but it feels like it's finally kind of all coming together in terms of performance, in terms of kind of a real release, and it feels like it's everything I've ever wanted to be doing. Like, this has been the secret dream of my heart since I was like 9 years old. And so I feel like I've made a record that it might come as a surprise to people who have been fans for a while, but I feel like it's the result of a shift that's been ongoing for several years, and I can't wait for you to hear it.